How Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump are setting the stage for World War III. Welcome to Newsflash by Amy. Do you ever wonder why Donald Trump is the most controversial president of the United States? Newsflash. That is because of how much he loves Vladimir Putin. Albert Einstein predicted World War III in a statement saying, "I do not know what World War III will be fought with. But World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones." While this statement does not directly state that World War III will happen, Einstein predicts that its impact will be overwhelming and would most likely reset human civilization back to thousands of years. Yet, the generals of this war are already emerging and setting the stage. The world today is at the brink of a global war. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine, Israel and Palestine, China and Taiwan, North Korea and South Korea, and the multifaceted unfriendly engagement of the United States of America with neighboring and faraway countries are sincere indications that the world is not at peace. There are clear indications that the continuous attitude of powerful nations towards global diplomacy and stability, evidenced by armed conflicts, invasions, occupations, economic coercion, trade wars, and cyber attacks against one another, will take the world further into a state of hostility and instability. At least 5 of the world's top leaders have distinguished themselves as war-ready and trigger-happy generals that will set the stage if World War III were to happen. In this video, I will refer to them as World War III generals. The first of them, Vladimir Putin of Russia. While many believe that the United States of America is the most powerful country in the world, the President-elect of the United States of America seems to believe otherwise. The American president said in a statement reported by the media that Vladimir Putin is the only man in the world capable of destroying the United States of America. How true was he? Well, the millions of refugees from Ukraine, the thousands that are now disabled for life, and the thousands that are now dead will testify to Vladimir Putin's ability to destroy a country. The Russian-Ukrainian conflict is agreed by many to stem from the sentimental feeling of entitlement to loyalty and submission from a supposedly neighboring country. Another name for this feeling is the urge to colonize everyone around you for the assertion of dominance over your region. This is a trait that is now very common among world leaders, as we will see in the adventures of the remaining 4 generals. In his defense, Vladimir Putin claims that his oppression of Ukraine is to deter the expansion of NATO territories into Russian territories. Yet, many believe that this is just an excuse to show how powerful he is to the rest of the world. Like Napoleon Bonaparte said, "Ability is of little account without opportunity." A man is only believed to be powerful when he has successfully weakened another man. By many theories of power, people like Vladimir Putin need war from time to time to assure themselves of how powerful they are and how powerful they need to get to be able to subdue everyone around them. But if it is true that the ends justify the means, to what end is a war that has cost the world millions of Russian and Ukrainian deaths and displacement? It all starts with economic pressure. The economic expansion that was sought by Germany and Japan contributed greatly to the development of the Second World War. It is sad then to see that world leaders would take this path and threaten the sovereignty of their neighboring countries. Well, we are talking about our Second World War III general, Donald Trump of the United States of America. The president of unconventionality and dual personality. It is funny to see how much the first general is admired by Donald Trump, despite their seemingly distinct interests. It makes one wonder where the allegiance of the President of the United States of America really stands. Does he stand with NATO like Trudeau, the friendly neighbor whom he has recently threatened? Or against NATO, like Putin, the big bully of NATO allies who he is so fond of? Yet, Donald Trump has claimed that everything he has done to make America great again. At the behest of whom? The American people. At the cost of whom? The Canadians. President Donald Trump promised to annex Canada by 2025. Are we still in World War II? And why does he always have a double face even in the affairs of other regions? President Trump's interest in the Middle East is yet undefined because despite being a good player in the establishment of the Abrahamic Accord, a peaceful communion in the Middle East, his habit of mounting maximum military pressure on countries in this region seems to continuously throw violence around the place. Who is he exactly, a peacemaker or a troublemaker? The world surely needs to know. Well, he is definitely a friend of troublemakers. Okay, the third general is very much likely, but not an obvious friend. And that sets the stage more for a war than otherwise, don't you think? President Xi Jinping of China. At this point, I clearly believe that the world is going back to the ages of colonization. Every powerful country seems to want their neighbors under their feet, all in the claims that it would strengthen the integrity of their border security. Just tell us you want to colonize your neighbors. Don't be cowards. The consistent oppression of Taiwan through military and socio-economic coercion, as well as the negligence of territorial and national sovereignty, has the indications of the attempt to colonize a weaker neighboring country just like Putin and Trump. The consistent incursion of the Chinese Air Force into Taiwan's air defense identification zone, large-scale military drills simulating the invasion of a neighboring country, and the increased activities of the Chinese Navy in the Taiwan waters are classic ways of preparing for a war. And what better way is there to start a war than to get ready for it? Well, in the name of national defense and prosperity, the warmongering adventures of Xi Jinping goes beyond the Asian axis. He has successfully rallied China into a trade war with the United States of America on many occasions. The trade war is only the economic foundation needed to start international armed conflicts. This is probably the reason why Xi Jinping keeps a hand on the Chinese military at all time, just in case. Our fourth World War III general is no one other than the famous Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. Okay, there are many cases of corruption on the account of this general, but that is not the focus of this video. The main concern here is the habit of picking on neighbors. And we understand that you found yourself among not very friendly neighbors, but when they stretch the olive branch, why not take it? Or at least give peace a chance when you have crippled the nation. Why go on an aggressive settlement expansion when you have already reclaimed your borders and weakened your enemies? Netanyahu seems to be driven by personal vendetta or some sort of rage that will not retire or retreat until the whole of Palestine and Syria are under the ground. Netanyahu's leadership is a fascinating case study. On one hand, his policies reflect a focus on national security and military strength. On the other, they've undeniably played a role in escalating tensions and perpetuating violence in the Middle East. Netanyahu's government has actively supported settlement expansion in occupied territories, actions that many view as violations of international law. These settlements not only fuel resentment among Palestinians but also make a two-state solution, a cornerstone of many peace efforts, seem nearly impossible. So, we're looking at policies that don't just maintain the status quo but actively dismantle pathways to peace. Does he really want security, or does he want war? The latter seems to be the case. And now, if all world leaders see their neighbors as a security threat, is the whole world not at war then? Well, our fifth general is not in any way different. Our very own supreme leader of the North Korea, Kim Jong-un. In very bold open and public statements, Kim Jong-un had ordered the North Korean forces to treat South Korea as a hostile foreign enemy. This rhetoric is buried deep in the history of both nations and has been ongoing for decades. The consistent parade of nuclear weapons in the face of the southern neighbor by the North Korean army indicates a consistent readiness for war and invasion. North Korea is known for its possession of intercontinental ballistic missiles, which it had tested across the southern border several times, threatening the peace, security, and sovereignty of the neighbor. And despite the iconic visit of the second general, President Donald Trump, Kim Jong-un could not be bothered about how the continuous investment in the development of these nuclear weapons of mass destruction threatens global stability, peace, and security. And yes, this is another person that is so much in love with Vladimir Putin. People often do what their friends do, and South Korea better beware. So, we have our 5 generals of World War III. It is important to go back to Albert Einstein's assertion that World War III is not a show we really want to see because, no matter how expensive it is to keep peace, war will always cost us more. Thank you.